Hello my dear friends, welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Sarita. As promised, I have a little bit of chatting that I can do about the semi-annual sale. If you tuned in for my review very recently yesterday of Vanilla Coconut Surf candle, I mentioned there that I shopped on Friday night the advanced situation and I didn't really see anything online. And then I went into the store on Saturday, my store here in Charlottesville, Virginia. We only have one store in town. And I picked up a basket at the door. I was ready to go. And I walked that store for 20 minutes and I thought to myself, what kind of semi-annual is this? This is so bad. And I'm was one of the few people, I just didn't think anything of it. And then when I started seeing all of this, every YouTube video pop up into my feed, everybody was just going crazy about semi-annual, and all of my candle friends were posting they were so excited and they went to 4 stores and they spent over $100, etc. And I didn't really get FOMO. It's just I felt like I did not understand the assignment, that I had definitely missed something. I don't know. The only thing that I walked away with on Saturday is 2 of these little ones right here. This is Vacation Vibes. I saw this for 75% off and I thought that it was this that just came out. So there was this kind of dupey Sol de Janeiro little tiny mini collection that came out a couple weeks ago. It is not really anywhere near Sol de Janeiro. The closest one to a Sol de Janeiro scent is this one right here, which is Vacation Vibe, singular, whereas this is Vacation Vibes, plural. This one came out in another mini collection of about a month ago, and it was like beachy stuff, just generic beachy stuff. I don't know. I can't even remember all of the names of those candles, but they were just kind of generic Bath & Body Works phoned in tropical candles, at least for my money. Anyway, one of them was Vacation Vibes, not to be confused with Vacation Vibe. This is the closest Sol de Janeiro dupe of the 3 that they offered us a couple weeks ago. This one corresponds to the bright yellow Sol de Janeiro bottle that looks like this. This is the original OG Sol de Janeiro. It is the fragrance of their famous Boom Boom Cream, which looks like this. And that particular fragrance, and I'm sorry, I don't know, I think it might be Charosa 62, but if you're staring at it on your screen, you probably know more than I do right now. This was their original. It's like a toasted, caramelized vanilla with pistachio and amber overtones. It's a very frankly, I mean, it smells like Brazil to me. It really does. It smells like a Brazilian supermodel. Anyway, that fragrance is huge. And of course, because of the hype of this particular fragrance, Sol de Janeiro then has come out with many different flanker fragrances. I don't know what number they're up to now. So if you walk into a Sephora, there's an entire bay of Sol de Janeiro fragrances. For my money, the best one is the original one, and the other ones are fine, but I don't know that they're as special as that original one is. This is the dupe for that original Sol de Janeiro fragrance, and it's not bad. It's really not bad. It's fairly close. It's a little Bath & Body Worksified, but it's not bad. I thought that Trader Joe's dupe of the Sol de Janeiro from last summer, was maybe a touch better, to be honest. But even that one wasn't completely dead on. By the way, I didn't see those dupes in Trader Joe's this summer, which made me really, really sad. I don't know what happened. But I feel like Trader Joe's has been kind of dropping the ball on their summer body care, which should have a moment, I think. Aldi has been dropping the ball on candles. What is this world coming to? All right, anyway. Close parentheses on this. If you see this, there is this and the room spray in this Vacation Vibes plural. Do not be misled. I bought it thinking, oh, I want my car to smell like Sol de Janeiro. It's not that. And I should have noticed because it's categorized as fruity and bright, and there is no fruit note in the Sol de Janeiro fragrance. This is a pineapple scent with a little bit of coconut, mainly heavy on the pineapple. So my car smells like a pineapple now, and I don't love that. I found that out, so just be super aware if you loved this and you're like, oh, randomly, why are there some 75% off of this line, but not on the entire line? It's not, the line is not on sale at all, with the exception of like the consolation prize, buy 3, get 3 full price items or whatever else. This Vacation Vibes was an earlier candle that they brought out a couple months ago that's a pineapple candle. It's not anything to write home about. And if you don't love pineapple and you don't want your car and your house to smell like pineapple, just be super wary when you see that in store at a clearance price. I believe, like I said, it's only the car thing and the room or house spray, whatever it's called. So that's what I came home with on Saturday. And when everybody started posting videos, I was like, I can't post a video on this. I mean, I could, because I can like post a video on anything and just talk. We could talk about a lot of things, right? It's not a big deal. We can talk about even very small things, but I knew that that was not appropriate. Given that I'm a candle channel, like I needed to go back. And to be honest, when I walked to the store, I did think to myself, there's a couple candles here that I would like to purchase. But this sale has been going on for 3 hours, and it's gonna go on for another 3 to 4 weeks. Let's pace ourselves. These candles will be here for a while. I'll save that special 3 candle purchase for a rainy day in June. That's what I was gonna do. But then when there was all the hype, I'm like, ah, shucks. So I went back on Sunday, I bought a few things, and then I even drove to Richmond where they have more Bath & Body Works, and I hit up 3 stores in Richmond, 3. And friends, let me look at the camera here. Friends, I'm gonna stand by what I said at the beginning, which is that I don't think this is a very good semi-annual sale. I don't. Partly I wonder if it's because I've been so consistently buying Bath & Body Works candles over the last 6 months. So really since January, I've been very consistent. I've showed up in my store every week, every 2 weeks. I know it's on the floor. I know it's available. If it's a candle and it's new, I've told you about it. I've burned as many as I liked. So in some ways, like, I'm not seeing anything in the stores that is more exciting than what I've experienced over the last 6 months. There's just not a whole lot there. And man, the stores in Richmond, I thought it was just my store that didn't have anything. And partly it's because my store changed locations in January. And so they ended up like completely clearing out their back room and like basically clearancing everything off for semi-annual in January, which means they don't have any like juicy seasonal candles from last year. Everything was gone when they moved to locations. So I thought it was kind of that. But then when I went to the stores in Richmond, they were super sad too. If you've been hitting up stores, don't you kind of feel here on Monday, on Tuesday, kind of like, is this the end of the sale? Have we peaked? Is everything picked over at this point? How is the sale gonna go for another 3.5 weeks? They better be pulling something out of their sleeve. You know what I mean? Pulling it out of a hat. So we gotta have some white rabbits here, because this is not looking good. It's really not. I just don't think there's hardly anything to like speak of. But there are some new-ish candles that they always bring forward, the Mashups and various others that they put out specifically for semi-annual, and I can talk to you about them. I ended up buying one of them. I'm probably going to return it, but I took pictures and I'm at least happy to talk about them with you. I am starting to notice here today, this morning, that there are some backpedal videos being filmed now from a lot of candle channels that are like, oh, these candles aren't as great as I thought they were. Yeah, I think that's probably going to happen. I just think there was a lot of like hype and excitement when it first started. But I don't know, it was pretty obvious to me 20 minutes into the store. This is a no for me. It's a real no. So Bath and Body Works had better do something. All right, so they have the vaunted blend candles. So the blend candles are supposed to be mashups of fairly popular candles that Bath and Body Works already has. And I think the concept is that they should be unexpected. And by unexpected, Bath and Body Works has done every combination, every conceivable combination of mashups. That's like their job. That's their 24, hour a day job. So for them to come up with something unexpected, it's probably unexpected for the wrong reasons. Which means it's not a good combination. It's just kind of more of a novelty combination. And actually, if I was the corporate office, you do kind of want to walk the line, because what you want is something that is truly a limited edition candle. Most of its value is in the shock. It's a shock value, to be perfectly honest, and kind of a silliness value. But what you don't want is to mash up a candle and have them be two candles that are actually brilliant together, and then you've locked yourself into this silly marketing. You could bring it back, but if it's a candle that is actually very good and they would want to have in their fleet on a regular basis, they should reserve that for the fall season or the spring season or whatever season it makes sense in. They don't want to waste essentially their like developmental talent on these candles. So already kind of the bar is very low for these blends, just conceptually, because they're really meant to be like a fun summer thing that is going to last 2 weeks and not something that we're going to like clamor to see for a very long time. If it was something that had more of a longer, if it had a bigger time horizon in terms of like marketing for this candle and committing to it, then I think the mashups would be better than what they are. I have laughed. I have teased you guys about a mahogany teakwood strawberry pound cake mashup, but the way that these have been looking, that may not be a joke. We're kind of starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel. So the mashups this season, it seems as though they wanted very strongly a body care item with a gourmand item, which on a certain level makes sense because frankly, a lot of their gourmands lately have not been true straight up gourmands. There have been a whole host of reasons for that. And I think that the shortest answer and probably the biggest reason for it is because consumers' tastes are changing. And even the people who were just straight up gourmandies for a very long time are starting to want a little bit more creativity and originality, and are liking some of those like traditional gourmandy kind of notes, especially something like a vanilla. I mean, how many like high-end perfumes have been like marshmallow, vanilla, and woods and musk, right? I mean, it's almost formulaic at this point. And I think that like that vanilla plus woods and musk formula was kind of the gateway drug to now the gourmands with the body care or perfume conceptuals, if that makes sense. So there is actually a whole trajectory for this. And so I can understand why Bath & Body Works was just kind of honed in on its number one, unexpected to do one of their like best-selling body care fragrances with a straight up gourmand. It's fun, and it's also probably not going to be great in terms of the effect. So nobody's going to be wanting to see this candle for like more than 3 weeks, right? That's a good one for one of these mashups. So this year they had, and let's just talk about them. There's only one that I brought, that I bought, and it is, where are you? Oh, right here. I just took you out of the bag. This is the one I brought home, which is in the Stars and Honey Crisp Apple. So let's reserve this one for the end. Let's talk about the other ones that are on the floor right now. First of all, we had Hello Beautiful, which is just one of their like generic Bath and Body Works. I'm a Bath and Body Works body care item kind of vibe with black cherry Merlot. Okay. And it looks really nice, I suppose, you know, I kind of like the gradient look, the ombre look. And I think for a cheap $24.95 candle that we're going to see for about 3 weeks, it's totally fine. Totally fine. Not a disaster. I'm looking at you. Radiant Maple, that whole line. Oh my God. Can we all imagine worse than this? I think so. So we're fine. Hello Beautiful and Black Cherry Merlot. So if I recall correctly, Black Cherry Merlot came out last year in the mashup as well. And I think it was with Marshmallow Fireside, actually. It was a Marshmallow Fireside Black Cherry Merlot. And I think it was fairly successful. I didn't buy it. I'm not a huge Marshmallow Fireside person, and I'm even less of a Black Cherry Merlot. That's a very specific candle, if you know what I mean. It's a very aggressive cherry note, not a particularly authentic one, but it has its cult following, you know? And I have to say this too, this is kind of the year for cherry. I don't know if you know that. So again, in the fragrance community, for whatever reasons, and I don't even know if it's a new fragrance, but Tom Ford's Lost Cherry has become the it perfume over the last like year and a half. And so we're seeing a ton of dupey cherry products from all of the other retailers who are trying to get in on this cherry wave. And everything is like, does this remind me of Tom Ford's Black Cherry? Like every cherry fragrance that come out now has to be compared and contrasted with this Tom Ford Lost Cherry. There have been several times I've been at a department store and I'm like, where's the Tom Ford perfumes? I have to smell this Lost Cherry. And every time that I go to like smell the tester bottle is completely empty. Like you can't even get fumes from it. It's just completely empty. So there's definitely a run on that particular fragrance. The few times I've been able to pick up some sort of fragrance from it, I wasn't wowed, but it must obviously not be my fragrance, my crowd of people. Anyway, close parentheses. It's not great that we're seeing Black Cherry Merlot in the mashup when we had it so prominently last year, but because of the Black Cherry craze, I can kind of understand why they went with it again this time. Hello Beautiful, and that one is fine. It's really fine. And I have to be honest, I was kind of grateful for the cherry note because I don't think Hello Beautiful is that great of a fragrance. And then the cherry was just kind of like, oh, here's a big aggressive fruit moment that's kind of dark and like, okay. But when I say the Black Cherry Merlot is the best part of this candle, you know it's a problem. You know it's a big problem. It's not a candle that I would pick up. And I do think, all things being equal, the Marshmallow Fireside mashup from last year was better. So unfortunately, they set themselves up for that compare and contrast, and I don't think it did quite as well as the one last summer. Then we have Plumeria and a sugared lemon zest, and it looks like this. So Plumeria is a very OG 90s Bath & Body Works fragrance. I don't think it came out in a candle form. I don't even know if it has come out in a candle form. It was kind of like cucumber melon in that respect. It was just straight up a body care item. And in the 90s, frankly, if they were doing candles, it was like very infrequent. It was not the way they're doing it now. Now candles make up fully 50%, I think, of their entire like line, their Bath and Body Works fleet. I mean, it represents a huge part of their business, but in the 90s it did not. So it was just straight up a body care store. So Plumeria hails back from that era, and I really liked Plumeria a lot. I actually liked Sweet Pea. I think there was a Sweet Pea, right? Sweet Pea, Plumeria, Freesia, Sun Ripened Raspberry, Cucumber Melon, My personal favorite, Moonlit Path, which we have not seen for a bit. I don't know why they took Moonlit Path off of the rotation and kept Japanese Cherry Blossom. What? Like, I can't begin to understand, but there's a cult following for Japanese Cherry Blossom that I've never understood as a fragrance. And I don't know what it is about me. I see Japanese Cherry Blossom, and this is after numerous decades of shopping at Bath & Body Works. Every time I see it, I go, ooh, that smells good. And I pick it up thinking, maybe it'll smell different today. No, it doesn't. It doesn't smell like cherries. There's nothing fresh about it. There's hardly anything fruity. Like, it's just a heavy, like, first gen women's perfume, kind of on the cheap side. Like, and I apologize if that's like your favorite and special fragrance. Please. I have so many like guilty pleasure kind of fragrances myself. I do not mean judgment, but it's not my guilty pleasure. So that's why I'm throwing shade, if you know what I mean. I suppose you could throw shade toward Moonlit Path, but why? But why? Oh my gosh, every time it was my birthday, my little brother, he's 9 years younger than I am. My mom would like take him, drive him to Bath and Body Works, and he would go in when he was like 9, you know? And he would be like, where's the one with the moon and the road? The moon and the road. Like he could never remember the name of it, but he was just like, whatever the moon one is, that's what my sister likes. And he would roll his eyes. And then when he would give it to me on my birthday, he would have this whole story about, how can you shop there? It smells disgusting. I could hardly get out of there fast enough. All I wanted was the moon. Why did they spray me with this? Like, it's a memory. It's a childhood memory. Anyway, Moonlit Path. All right, close parentheses. There were just a lot of really OG fragrances that all of the girls in junior high and high school, and probably some women in their 20s, also indulged in pretty heavily. Country Apple, yes. Tell me down below if any one of those was your special fragrance. And did I miss something? Anyway, Plumeria was one of them, and I really liked Plumeria. I mean, it wasn't like my OG favorite, but like every now and then I would switch off with it, you know, and then come back to like Moonlit Path with even greater fervor, you know. Anyway, Plumeria is good. That candle is not good. So I would say that the candle, and nobody is really saying this, but I think this is the case. I think that candle is about 60 or 70%, maybe more, candy lemon zest, whatever that fragrance is. Like at least that. And then the Plumeria is kind of like a shy 40%. And you have to smell it real long to get to the Plumeria. And it's kind of an after smell, like right underneath. It's like really hard to tell. Give me one second. Okay, back again. Had to grab something. Okay, so Plumeria is only about 40% of that candle, and I can't really smell it a whole lot. So the sugared lemon thing, it's not my vibe. I don't like it when Bath & Body Works does the sparkly, effervescent kind of thing. I don't like that. It's candied. It's not an authentic lemon. And I don't love Plumeria enough to hang in there for the rest of that kind of thing. Also, I kind of question the two candles there. I just don't know if the lemon goes real great with the Plumeria. And the Plumeria is already a very sweet fragrance. So ideally it should have been cut with something that was less sweet or sweet in a different way. I don't really know. And I'm sure they were thinking lemon's got the tartness. It just didn't work for me. It really didn't. So that was a no. That was a no. Then we had, and this one actually has gotten good press, weirdly, Ocean and Vanilla Bean. It looks like this. It's actually really nice. Again, the ombre is kind of really stunning. So Ocean is one of their men's colognes. It's not their best. It's not their worst. It's somewhere in between. I would say it's probably like a second gen men's cologne for them. First gen is like Mahogany Teakwood. just very unnuanced, very heavy, very whatever. Then they get a little bit more interesting in the second gen. So I think Ocean is a second gen. And there have been many times where I've been tempted to take home an Ocean candle because I do lean more masculine in my tastes. And there is something really nice in the aquatic note of Ocean. But it's just not fresh. It's not authentic enough. It's still pretty cliched as a men's fragrance. So they mashed that one up with Vanilla Bean, which is smart because vanilla with anything very aggressively masculine is always a great idea. With a leather note, with a tobacco note, with a spice note, whatever else, really vanilla is great. It will cut it, it will make it a little bit more mild, make it more palatable, add some sweetness, etc. And the Vanilla Bean candle that they're using there also has some spices in it, like nutmeg, etc., which seem to be possibly bumped up in this candle, and or they are amplifying the aspects of the Ocean fragrance that are kind of like herbal, maybe, possibly in the vetiver direction. It really amplifies it a lot. So that now you do have a strong, warm, carameled vanilla on the top. You've got the musky and the vaguely aquatic down below. And then in between you have this really strong, kind of spicy herbal dimension. Ocean doesn't have a ton of overt spices in an incense tobacco kind of sense because it is an aquatic leaning men's cologne. But because it's only a second generation men's cologne, they all kind of have that standard formula of muskiness, spiciness, bergamot, right? So perhaps there's some of that in it. Yeah, the candle works fine. And actually, if you clear your mind of it being specifically Ocean and Vanilla Bean, which is kind of like a weird concept to wrap your mind around, there have been a lot of candles of late from Bath & Body Works that are very similar to that. They are like kind of like midnight cocktailish kind of candles with a generous like vanilla kind of note. Think even the very successful Coffee and Whiskey, for instance, in that particular formula, which is a lot less bassy than this particular Ocean and Vanilla candle. I liked it. I didn't love it because I don't love Ocean. I have to be honest. It is kind of in my wheelhouse and I just don't love it. So I passed on that one, but I did think if it's around in several weeks, and especially if the price goes down even further, I might buy Ocean and Vanilla Bean. I'm surprised at how many people love that candle. They tend to be the individuals who like vanilla candles a great deal. So they're smelling that very robust vanilla bean on the top of it, and I think because of all the gateways that have been made with, especially with kind of vanilla fragrances with some amount of musk and wood, they're kind of primed for those profiles. And so I think that's why that one was the most popular of them. Otherwise, I would think that the cherry one would be, but the cherry one is aggressive and it's thick and it's heavy, and we've had a lot of cherries because we're in the Tom Ford cherry era, but there's a lot of competing products now in that era. And we had cherry last year with Marshmallow Fireside, which I think is much more palatable for most people, especially in the vanilla crowd. So I think Ocean Vanilla Bean has been the most popular of them. Really interesting. I don't think I'm going to purchase it because I've been hearing reports that it's actually fairly light. And I should just say this right off, all of these candles are being panned for being very light in terms of strength and throw. So that is probably why I will be taking this one back, actually. So let's talk about this one. This is In the Stars. So In the Stars is having a moment too. And it's because In the Stars reminds a lot of women of Baccarat Rouge 540. Or to put it this way, In the Stars came out long before Baccarat Rouge did. In the Stars is actually a pretty long-standing fragrance from Bath & Body Works. Predates Baccarat Rouge. But In the Stars was very popular with a lot of women, and I would definitely be in that category, although I can't say that it was always my favorite one. I liked it. I liked Moonlit Path better. So In the Stars has a very kind of sugared musk kind of aspect to it. And that's exactly what Baccarat Rouge is. It's like a lot of musk and a lot of sugar, basically, sugar and musk with a woody component to it. So In the Stars doesn't have so much of the woody component. I think it substitutes in a fruity component, and I can't remember what fruit it is, but very similar. So, by the way, here's a picture of Baccarat Rouge 540 for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. This is an even bigger perfume than Lost Cherry from whatever his name is, Tom Ford. This has been the it perfume for women probably for the last 3 or 4 years. It is extraordinarily popular, and it's extraordinarily expensive as well. Even just 1 ounce will set you back over $200, I think, something like that. So there have been a lot of dupes of this perfume, and the correct use of a dupe, or the correct like value of a dupe, is when you do have a perfume that is extraordinarily expensive and way out of the price range of normal folks. That's when dupes become actually really valuable, because they can mimic that and give you something that's very, very close for a much lower price point. Yeah? So the most famous dupe for Baccarat Rouge 540 is a perfume that Ariana Grande did a year or 2 ago called Cloud. Cloud looks like this, and Cloud you can get at Ulta and various, I think you can get it other places too. I don't think it's an Ulta exclusive. Or it may have started out as an Ulta exclusive and is no longer whatever else, because Ulta does do a brisk business selling Ariana Grande's perfumes. So anyway, Cloud is very, very close. And then Bath & Body Works came out with another candle this year that actually is a much closer dupe than In the Stars. And we're going to talk about that in a hot second, but let's just talk about In the Stars. So In the Stars, like I said, precedes Baccarat Rouge, cannot be considered a dupe of Baccarat Rouge because it was just before it. And was obviously in neither intention nor in formula, that particular perfume. But it's really good, and I especially love to use In the Stars, you know, shower gel and whatnot in the bath. So they mixed this one up with Honeycrisp Apple. As with the Lemon Plumeria, I'm not sure that that's the right mashup, just because Honeycrisp Apple note for them is very, very sweet, and In the Stars is sweet, and it does have some musk, but it leans pretty sweet too. And so then you have sweet and sweet. It's a very sweet candle, and I don't know if it entirely works, but it's nice. It really is. And it just gives it amplifies that really nice fruit dimension of it. And I guarantee you that if this candle came out in like August, or even in 4 weeks as like fall wave #1, people would go crazy about it. I'm not really sure why. There were very few people who like said they liked this candle, and I was super surprised by that, because like In the Stars, like I said, is having a moment, and Honeycrisp Apple just seems like a shoo-in, like it should be a slam dunk, right? And I noticed that a lot of people were like, I don't like it very much because the apple makes me think of fall, and I am so not ready for fall. From the same people who have either talked about waiting for fall candles and how excited they are, or have done hauls anticipating people's fall fragrances. And in like 2 weeks, Bath & Body Works is going to bring out all their fall candles, and we're going to be totally on board with it. So I kind of don't understand the critique of like, this is so not seasonal. It's completely fine. And then when you think of, I just mentioned Country Apple from the 1990s. Country Apple was not necessarily a fragrance that like you only had during the fall. That was an all-season candle. And especially it was great in the spring and summer. Country Apple was the way that every girl smelled in the summertime. They just did. You wore Cucumber Melon on the days when you felt more chill and you needed a palate cleanser. Cucumber Melon was a palette cleanser from Country Apple, which was the main one, and Sunripe and Raspberry, both of those. Very summer fragrances. So I'm not convinced that this is not a seasonal mashup. It is very sweet, and it's just a very kind of like apple perfumey kind of scent, but it's not as sophisticated as like Donna Karan apple, for instance. You know, any one of her apples. Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice. Like I said, for me, it's a little too sweet, but I would imagine for most people, it's not too sweet. So I don't really understand why people didn't like it. However, now that reports are coming out about how bad the Strength and Throw is, I will probably take it back because I have way too many other candles to burn, and I'm not in love with it enough to like put up with bad Strength and Throw, which I think all 4 of them have. So I don't think that it was a good showing on the blends this year, but they all kind of, in a weird way, leaned my direction because like the Ocean one, and maybe even this one to some extent, they all kind of had like a little bit of a darker aspect to them, and I like that, with the exception maybe of the Plumeria one. Especially the Ocean and the In the Stars would definitely be more my kind of vibe, but I don't know, I wasn't loving it. I wasn't. And when I was watching Kent a couple days ago, he was like, why couldn't they do like bigger, better gourmand mashups? And I 100% agree. 100. I think given the summer season and how popular gourmands are, that if you're going to do 4 mashups, 2 of them should just be straight up gourmand candles. Gourmand candle blended with gourmand candle. That's what I think. Then you should have 1 candle that's like a weird mashup of like gourmand and body care, but please, only 1. And then you should have a 4th one that's probably 2 body care items mashed up together. Maybe a masculine and a feminine one or whatever else. I think that would be fantastic. But I do think that they should just have 2 that are straight up gourmands. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, you don't even have to steal thunder from any other season or the fall season. Think about like maybe it would be smart to think about the candles that you've just had out and are about to retire or clearance off for the fall, and doing a mashup of 2 of those. So I thought, like, what if they did that Main Street Bakery with like freshly brewed coffee or something like that, where you have like the banana cream pudding with something, you know? Because I think that Main Street Bakery is gonna go away, but it was very, very popular, right? Put that in a mashup of something. They should do the freshly brewed coffee with almost anything. Or I suppose if you wanted to do Paris Cafe, you could do Paris Cafe. But freshly brewed coffee could be with anything. They could have done freshly brewed coffee in like the vanilla coconut surf, for instance. Like, how fantastic would that have been? Again, with the vanilla coconut surf that just came out, that you're probably going to do away with now, that frankly didn't get that much buzz. Perfect. Put it in here. Surely you have the oils still left. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they could be a lot more savvy and also put some candles together that everybody would just like lose their minds for. Like I said, Main Street Bakery and anything, but I think especially something gourmandy and something like Paris Cafe. I mean, are you kidding me? Right? Right? So I think it's a missed opportunity. And I don't think anybody was particularly excited about these 4. And it's kind of revealing that the most excitement that's been generated is over the Vanilla Bean Ocean one. I think if it was a stronger 4-candle lineup, that one would not be receiving the attention that it got. So that's the 4 of those. We just had a moment talking about Baccarat Rouge. Let's talk about that for a second, because guess what? Guess what? We now have a true intentional Bath & Body Works dupe of Baccarat Rouge. And it is actually one of the candles that they brought out for semi-annual sale. So the name of the candle is Velvet Amber Woods. It looks like this. It's a very ho-hum label. By the way, these particular candles and some of the other ones, the labels are super janky on them. Even trying to take pictures of them, I'm like, can I find one where the label isn't crooked? Like, they definitely look like not a whole lot of care and attention was applied to these particular packages, but that's fine. So Velvet Amber Woods, and the notes on Velvet Amber Woods are fine saffron, lavish jasmine, and bright amber. And there has been an effort with these notes listed on the back to pretty much one for one duplicate the notes, the listed formal notes of Baccarat Rouge 540. So the notes for Baccarat Rouge are jasmine, saffron, cedar, and ambergris. Those are the notes. And so with Velvet Amber Woods, you've got the saffron, you've got the jasmine, and you have got the amber. The only thing that's not mentioned is the wood aspect of it, but the candle is called Velvet Amber Woods, and you've got the wood grain on the label. So it's set up to be an exact dupe of Baccarat Rouge 540, and in fact, it is Baccarat Rouge 540. It's a beautiful and gorgeous fragrance. That said, Bath & Body Works already duped it 3 months ago, and it is a repackage of this candle right here, First Sight. So this was in the wedding collection, and I have a standalone review of this. In the wedding collection, there was the bride's fragrance and the groom's fragrance. This was actually very bizarrely mismarketed, I think, as the men's fragrance, because Baccarat Rouge is just not marketed as a unisexual fragrance. Now, this is a free country and you can wear whatever you want, and it doesn't matter what you identify as. I strongly believe that. That being said, there are a lot of fragrances that are marketed unisexual because they can usually get a lot of people who identify both as female and as male to purchase that particular fragrance and to be interested in it. Baccarat Rouge is not one of those. I mean, it's just straight up a women's perfume, and it's an extremely popular one. So when this one came out, I expressed great bewilderment and confusion. This candle was, first of all, given very short shrift. Everything was, pride of place was the bride's candle, which was dressed in white. Everyone talked about dressed in white. And there were many women who probably didn't even smell this one because it was completely marketed for men. And in fact is on the men's wall of fragrances. And from what I've heard, the men didn't buy it either because it's not really a men's fragrance. It's a woman's fragrance, yeah? So this is Baccarat Rouge 540. This is their dupe of it. But on the back of this one, they did not one-to-one match the notes of Baccarat Rouge. So for whatever reasons, they were concealing the fact that it was a Baccarat Rouge dupe, and they were marketing it to men. If they had marketed it as a more transparent dupe of Baccarat Rouge, there would have been no reason to not market it for women. And it should have had a moment. They would have gotten a lot of money if they had done that. So it was a very rare marketing just blunder on their part. And I don't really know all the reasons for it. I would love to know what happened in the, behind the curtain. So the notes on First Sight are Italian bergamot, rich woods, and sugared musk. So what you're really interested in there is there's woods and there's musk and there's sugar. And that's basically what the Baccarat Rouge fragrance is. It's a lot of sugar and it's a lot of musk. Yeah. So the elements are kind of there, but not really. There's no mention of saffron, for instance. There's no mention of amber, but it's very heavily like amber sugar kind of fragrance. So to my nose, and I even had a store employee grab this off the shelf, which they're currently, along with the Velvet Amber Woods. We smelled them both. It was very obvious that Velvet Amber Woods is just a repackage of First Sight. Very easy for them to do. They're still pouring First Sight. It's on the shelf. All they had to do was pour that into another jar and call it Velvet Amber Woods. Probably because they realized they made a marketing blunder and are now trying to correct it by being more transparent that it's a dupe and putting it on the floor under a different name. That said, the Velvet Ambered Musk packaging is not very nice. Although this was not as nice as Dressed in White, I still think it's nicer than the Velvet Amber Woods. And the store associate and I did think that it was possible that this one seemed a little stronger smelling it in the jar than the Velvet Amber Woods did, which would also make sense if they are kind of, it seems as though many of the candles they're putting out for semi-annual sale are a little on the cheap side, not just in terms of packaging, but possibly in terms of inputs as well. And many of these candles are coming off the press really, really fast with a rush. And it looks like it sometimes in the presentation. So I would not be surprised if First Sight is a little bit stronger. If you want more information on how First Sight burned, it burned like a dream. It was, however, very light. And initially when I started burning it, I thought, this is almost unscented, it's really bad. But this was one of those candles that must have a lot of soy in it, because I could burn this for 5 or 6 hours, and when it started hitting the 4-hour mark, you could really smell this fragrance a lot. And I would say that the bottom half of the candle performed much better than the top half. So just be a little bit patient with this one. It does put out, but you need to stay with it and you need to be patient. That Velvet Ambered Woods, I don't know. The way that these candles, the reports that are coming forth, I really think that you're better served with this one. The caveat being that right now Velvet Amber Woods is being offered at $10.95 or at the semi-annual sale price point, and this one is not. This is full price at $26.95, but I suspect that in the next few days, in the next week, we're definitely going to see a candle-wide, store-wide kind of sale. So, and even if you don't buy it right now in the next 2 weeks, if you're a Baccarat Rouge fan, I would say gamble with this one, not with the Velvet Ambered Woods, unless we start hearing good reports from people who think that it performs relatively well. So anyway, close parentheses on all of that. First Sight is not in the stars. In the stars is not quite Baccarat Rouge. This is Baccarat Rouge, and so is Velvet Ambered Woods, if that makes sense. It does make sense, actually, because why would they pull out a candle, Velvet Ambered Woods, that was in the stars and offer in the Stars and Honey Crisp at the same time? It would make no sense, right? So just, it's not a big deal, but to be precise, is not in the stars is close to in the stars. So In the Stars came out right here, and then Baccarat Rouge came out, kind of close fragrances, and then Ariana Grande Cloud came out, and it was like this, just a little bit more sweet. This is the sweet contingent right over here. Sweet to less sweet, right? In the Stars, Baccarat Rouge, Ariana Cloud, First Sight. First Sight is actually on the other side. First Sight is a little bit less sweet than Baccarat Rouge, but very close. Ariana Grande is more sweet, but very close. So do you see on this continuum here, In the Stars is a cousin to these dupey fragrances for Baccarat Rouge, but a cousin. Okay, hopefully that's the last time I have to do that treatise on that. Then there was also a candle next to the Velvet Ambered Rose, and it was Mahogany Rose. And Mahogany Rose is actually the mashup that they did last year that was Mahogany Teakwood and Rosewood Ivy. So if you look on the back of the jar, it says Mahogany Teakwood Rosewater Ivy. Those are like the notes on the back of the jar. And they're just calling it Mahogany Rose. I think that's kind of phoned in a little bit, but it is what it is. I don't love that fragrance. And I do think, again, you've already got Ocean Vanilla. Now we need the Mahogany Teakwood too. I mean, those are some like early gen men's colognes. I don't know that we need both of them. Oh, all right. At any rate, okay. So that was that. Oh, and then they had the like fun, splashy July kind of candles that they could have very easily put Summer Boardwalk in too, but they already have Summer Boardwalk on the floor in different packaging. So in the front of the store, they have the Firecracker candle. Firecracker pop looks like this. Berry waffle cone looks like this. Watermelon lemonade looks like this. Really cute. And they also have whipped coconut milkshake. This is apparently the new kind of inclusion this year. I picked up the coconut milkshake and I couldn't smell anything. And I'm a coconut lover. I mean, I'm not a gourmand fan, so I probably wouldn't take it home even if it did smell good, just because it's probably too gourmandy with the milkshake part of it. But I was at least kind of wanting to smell what the coconut would smell like. Is it gonna be like coconut extract? Is it gonna be like coconut candy? How synthetic will it be? How aggressive? Will it be authentic? I could hardly get anything. And I know everybody like was crazy about that one, but I don't know. It smells to me like you're not gonna get anything from that candle. I'll be real surprised if that candle has any strength and throw. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to be proved wrong there, but I personally would not have taken that candle home. Of the 4 of them, I would take home the watermelon lemonade. I didn't, just because like, I actually already have that Aruba candle from Yankee Candle, which is a nice, very nice melon candle that I was gonna do for July. So I don't need that watermelon lemon. Watermelon lemon is not a new candle, but I think it's good. I think it's splashy. I think it's aggressive. I think it's a nice watermelon, a nice lemon. It works. It's a really cute packaging. It's one of the few candles, or maybe the only I think the packaging works for that particular candle with the green wax. It just looks really nice. The rest of the packages look extraordinarily cheap, but that one for some reason works really well. And it's got this lid with like little dots on it that kind of seem like seeds or something. It's really cute. I like it. I'm not a huge berry waffle cone person, and I know that's like a really bad thing to say, but I'm just not a gourmand person. But it is a very long, it's like that summer boardwalk. Like it's a big deal. I don't think anybody is going to remember this packaging or be like, oh, remember when that was an amazing like label. It's definitely, I mean, it is a very intentionally cheap look. Like they're leaning into it in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way. So there is that. And I do kind of like the angular modern nature of it, but I think it's just bad. You know, it's kind of like a movie that's so bad it's good. Like I think that's the way that they were hoping we would take it, but I think it's just kind of bad. With the exception, I thought the watermelon lemonade was kind of nice. There was one other candle that was in that velvet amber woods, and it was a gourmandy one. Toasted cinnamon sugar looks like this. I kind of like it with the like kind of art deco white and gold, although the labels on this were very janky. This is a straight up gourmand. I don't think it's new, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it was, I think, a legit gourmand candle. I mean, it smelled legit gourmandy to me. It was kind of in that sense like the Danbury shortbread or the almond croissant. No, it's not one that I would take home. No, it's not my special candle or my special vibe. But I smelled it and I was like, I think this smells like a good gourmand. You know, yes, it is basic, but I thought it was really good. I don't think it's the same as the vanilla cinnamon or whatever else that candle is. I think it's different. I think it's deeper. I think it's more toasty, a little bit more roasty. So yeah, that was a nice candle. All right, now let's talk about the things that I bought. So I did buy this Apple one, but I'm definitely taking that one back. I also got 2 of these because, friends, I like this candle a great deal. Gwen's Note. I loved this whole collection, and they're all kind of on sale right now. I noticed that the Asian Pacific ones are on sale too from like 3 weeks ago. Man, that Asian Pacific one was not good. It was not a good collection, and let it not be a reflection on Asian or Pacific Island people. But that was not a good collection. It did not do justice. It was very insulting, yeah? This Black History Month collection was very, very good. Did not get the hype and buzz that it should have, and quietly it was great. Gwen's Note was my favorite of them. I think it's really a best new candle. Oh man, it's good. This one is creamy sandalwood, sage, and soft lavender. And it's got it's got a very heavy creamy component to it. So it's not just like wood and herbs. There's a lot of vanilla. There's a lot of tonka. Ooh, that is a fantastic candle. So I went ahead and got 2 of those, and I highly recommend these. Yumi in the Sea, I saw on a lot of shelves. Anna's Garden, I saw on a lot of shelves. I would recommend all of those. And then I got one of these. This candle, I didn't think much of when it came out. It was kind of light, and everybody thought it was stupid. Book Loft. This is like more of a 3rd gen men's cologne, in that it's a little bit more creative, a little softer, a little bit more balanced, not quite so heavy, etc. This doesn't even have notes. It's just cozy up under a warm blanket. I'll have to burn it. But there's something kind of vaguely fruity and also floral about this candle. Don't get me wrong, it's got like bergamot and it's got musk in this candle, which does make it oriented a little bit more masculine. But then there's this other sweeter aspect to this candle that kind of leans feminine and makes the entire candle a little bit more unisexual, kind of straight up in the middle, like a perfume / cologne conceptual. And if I'm not mistaken, it just seems like kind of a fruity floral. It could be a pear blossom, an orange blossom. It could be any kind of white floral with a little bit of any kind of fruit. Almost maybe a red fruit. Again, it's not overt, but it's just kind of there. And it's really nice. And maybe it is contributing to a more nuanced candle than we all thought it was. Anyway, Ken from Candle Channel changed his mind on this one, thought it was great, and really wanted to pick one up at a semi-annual sale if he saw it. And there have been a couple people who said that. I think Fragrance Junkie also loved this particular candle. So in fact, I even took a picture and sent it to Kent because I was in one store and they had like, I'm not kidding you, like 17 of them, just like an entire stack. They must have just gotten a random box in of Book Loft very, very late. So I'm going to try it. Why not? It was on clearance. It was $10. So I went ahead and got that one. And friends, oh no, I got one more candle. In Richmond, I found it. Look at that, friends. Number 42. And I know this candle is probably coming out in like 3 weeks because I suspect we're gonna see this in like the 1st or 2nd fall wave with the new name that we all selected, which is what? Vintage Memories, or who knows what else. It should be Vintage Vinyl. Yes, I loved this candle. With the cinnamon and the wood and the vanilla and the leather. Yeah, I just saw it and like they had much bigger stacks of like 39 or whatever that coffee lemon one was. But then at one of the stores, I saw one of these just standing by itself and I said, oh, you're coming home with me. Come home with me. Yeah, $10. Why not? It did burn pretty abysmally. It was one of the dirtiest candles that I think I've burned from Bath & Body Works in a very long time. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I liked the fragrance. And frankly, I just think this semi-annual was scraping the bottom of the barrel. So I was just happy to get some things, if you know what I mean. I also picked up one more of these because I love Tropidelic. Oh, I was so encouraged because in my travels, I would always kind of go up to the person and be like, do you have any more Tropidelics? And there were so many times I would say it and like, people would turn around, customers, and they'd be like, yeah, where's Tropidelic, you know? So I actually think that even though it kind of sat around for a bit and it was kind of a tough read to see how it was selling or what the reactions are, I actually think that a lot of people changed their minds on Tropidelic as the months went on and it grew on them. And so now everybody's kind of a Tropidelic fan and I'm really happy about that. I'm hoping that it comes back because I think it's at least an honorable mention this year for Best New Candle, Best New Fragrance. It's really unexpectedly nice. They put out a dime a dozen white floral candles and even fruity white floral candles. This one was a little bit more special than their usual body care fruity white florals, and I am here for it. Other recommendations that I would have for you, oh yeah, and so I didn't actually run across one of these, but if you do, I think I have a couple backups of this one because I want to burn this. This would be a great January burn. It's got kind of a banana leaf overtone with, this says passion flower and misty rainforest. It's a lot of white floral, but it's turned and shaped in a tropical direction. It's really, really nice, and I think you could burn that super well in the summer season. So if you see it, definitely pick that up. There are a ton of candles like this one on the floor that are just not clearanced right now, which is kind of weird, especially given how sad the semi-annual sale seems. I mean, are they gonna finally, like 2 weeks in, clearance all these out too, you know? I don't know. I just think that there's a ton of candles like this, or even like in the cheaper packaging, like the raspberry rosé, for instance, and stuff like that, the surf shop, etc. Like, those candles are interesting, and they're better than some of these new ones that they just brought out for us. Like, they should be more on sale than they are. But like I said, we are at least going to get a store-wide candle sale here in a bit, and that's your moment to get those. A lot of these one wicks were on sale too and on clearance, and I'm not sure the reason for that. I wonder if they put a lot of investment into these new, they're not the mason jars anymore, they're these new ones. And I think they invested hardcore in this and thought that they were going to fly off the shelves more than they did. But they increased the price point considerably on these from where they once were with the mason jar. And I think that that was probably not great. And I just don't think the one wicks are where it's at. So I get the sense that they maybe thought that the response to these new transformed one wicks were going to be a lot stronger than they actually were, and now they just have a ton of them. So a lot of those are 50% off, but they're only 50% off. So they're still like in the like $8 or $9 range, which is crazy. I think at some point they're going to have to $5 all of these small ones off. And even at $5, I think they're going to struggle to get rid of a lot of their stock here. But keep your eyes peeled for those, because especially these like single essentials ones, some of these are really nice. The cypress one, the orange blossom one, the amber one, and then you have in the other like white collection, you've got like the purple patchouli and pink lavender and espresso and all kinds of things like that. So just keep your eyes peeled, because I think at a certain point they are going to have to reduce the price point on all of those. For me, oh, I also bought this, by the way. This was like the only, I mean, they brought back cucumber and melon, but this is like the only other kind of OG fragrance that they brought back from the 90s. And it's Freesia, although one of the store's associates, she looked super young. She looked like she was about like 17 years old. She was calling it Freesia, which is cute. She's obviously too young to remember and to know how to pronounce that particular name. So I bought it because it was $3.95 and because of memory. But this is super faint. And I hate to burst your bubble for those of you who didn't experience this in the 90s. This ain't it. The Plumeria one is a little bit different too. Vaguely, I get a nuance of something that I remember from the 90s. But obviously the formula has changed, and when you smelled that Freesia in the 90s, it was like coming out of the bottle at like, on a scale from 1 to 10, like a 12. It was aggressive. And this, you got to smell real long and hard for. It's coming in at like a 3. So, but at $3.95 or whatever it was, I thought, okay, I'll bubble bath it out for old time's sake. The other thing that I bought, and this was like the only thing that kind of interested me for a semi-annual sale, is I got some of these laundry scent beads. And look at this one that I got, Palo Santo, my favorite. Although it is kind of weird to have your clothes smelling like Palo Santo, right? I don't know. So these are the scent beads. They have scent beads and they also have laundry detergent. Ooh, I am a strict, like, Tide kind of person, so I was not going to mess around with laundry detergent. I'm really happy with the way that my Tide cleans, but I do love scent beads. I love myself some scent beads. I struggled with allergies very hardcore the last couple years, and so I started cutting out of my little house world all the things that I thought might be affecting me. And so the scent beads was one of the first things that went. And I thought maybe these scent beads are like, you know, maybe I'm allergic to them. Well, now, since I've talked to a doctor and we have, you know, like a journey of care and all that sort of thing and immunotherapy, it has become obvious that it's just straight up seasonal allergies, trees, dust mites, etc., not scent beads. So I'm back. Scent beads are back. and I was so happy. There, a lot of these are 50% off. So they're $20, that makes them 10. And then I used my like $10 off coupon, you know, $10 off the 40, and then it made it like $7.76, which is like a really good situation. I love my clothes smelling like brilliant. I was one of those girls who, like, it had to be top notch. It had to be like downy, like luxury. Like it couldn't even just be like the budget downy kind of scent beads. They had to be like botanicals or like, you know? And so I'll definitely put some money out for like a really special smell. So, and I noticed Japanese cherry blossom weirdly smelled quite good. I almost got Japanese cherry blossom. That one was on clearance too. It's like the best I've ever smelled Japanese cherry blossom. They had like a eucalyptus one and mint. They had a white gardenia one on sale. They had bergamot waters. But I had to order bergamot waters online. So online, I went online and they had a better selection and I got bergamot waters, fresh blue sky, and morning rain. So I'm really excited. They just haven't like showed up yet. But I would say not all stores have the laundry. So you have to go to a store that has the laundry. Then you should maybe get some clearance laundry products. If you've been kind of curious, try them out. This is a great moment, a great opportunity. And to be honest, this was for me like the only thing that I found interesting for this particular semi-annual sale was products like this going on clearance. There's a few, and actually they're running a sale right now for all of their laundry stuff. I think it's like 2 for $30, so $15 a piece. And there's some really good scents there that I think are fantastic. A lot of cashmere, and yeah, there's just a lot of really good ones. And they have a big selection. So you'll find something there that you like, you know? And even the ones they were clearancing off, there was a good selection of them. So, and I was just very lucky in one random store to find Palo Santo. So I went ahead and got 2 of those as well. So I am set for scent beads, but I haven't figured out how much I need to use for my own personal scent preference in my laundry. So if it like uses a lot of them, then I guess it's fine. Anyway, that's what I've got. I mean, I'm still gonna maintain. I think this is a pretty sad semi-annual unless something miraculous happens in the next few days. And I already feel like everything is picked over. So what are we gonna do for the next 3.5 weeks? I don't know. They better have something else planned. You know what I mean? Now, I did hear from a district manager, actually, that there is possibly a new summer collection coming out of destinations. And the implication was that it was candles. Although now when I think back to what it is that manager was saying, maybe it's just going to be a body care destinations line. But my understanding is that it was new candles for the summer and it was going to drop at semi-annual or shortly thereafter. So it's possible that that might be kind of the bunny in the hat that we're gonna get in the next like week or two is these new special summer candles. Cause from where I stand, they need something. They definitely need something. This was not a good semi-annual sale. And I think the price point across the board has to come down considerably. There were some body care items, especially there was that little collection that didn't get hardly any hype and only some stores got it. It was like the water ones. The rainfall, there was a rainfall one that was half aromatherapy, and then there was the water lilies, the waterfall and lily one or something. Anyway, there was just a mini collection of like water spa ones that were so good. And I encountered those in a couple places, and I would have picked up some of that body care, but it's 50% off. 50% off is not good enough. You're still spending $8 or $9 on like a lotion. And when they run so many like $5.95 sales, like on a regular basis, like I'm not going to pick it up at semi-annual sale for $8 or $9. Like that's crazy. So I just think that their prices need to come down across the board. And that should help somewhat. But I also think that they need to bring something else onto the floor, because what they've got right now, I just don't think is interesting or successful enough. So that's where I stand. I'm going to take back my In the Stars apple. But maybe I should wait on it and see if something else comes out so then I can exchange it. I don't know. It's like a $24.95 price point, and yeah, I don't know what I would exchange it for. Stuck. Oh well. Tell me what you think. Did I do okay? Am I being too negative? I hope not. I did stop at Yankee Candle semi-annual, which is also very sad. But I picked up all of the new fall candles. So I will have a video fairly shortly hauling the 6 new Yankee fall fragrances, which I am nowhere near burning. Don't get it twisted. But we can at least talk about them, because why not? I'll catch you guys in the next one.